Back like we never left. What's up, YouTube? You see, I'm in chill mode today, but I want to talk about, I don't want to say a serious subject, but, something that, has been kind of like, in the back of my mind for a minute. Like, because I watch, other programs and things like that. First of all, I want to start with, the title of my show, that I got up there, Return to the Masc, Return to the Masculine is the reason for that. But yeah, I watch different programs, and I seen, recently that whack joint that Michelle Obama got, the little podcast joint, and they finally have Barack on there. I guess to dispel their little divorce rumors and things like that. If you listen to Barack talk, you listen to her brother talk, the Bamas, they sound feminine as crap. I'm gonna go in this episode. Oh yeah. I'm not biting my tongue and nothing. I ain't simping for these chicks. None of that crap. Like I said, you seen the title of the joint, Gender Wars. Let's go. Let's go, man. We as men, we sit there, we bite our tongue. We sit there and, we done put up with so much stuff. That's why them Bamas lost the last election. That's why, yeah, the Democrats, they lost that last election. Because that whole side is feminine. That whole side is feminine. You can say what you want about MAGA. You can say what you want about Trump. It's real men on that side, whether they be right or wrong. That masculine energy is there. And me, I'm neutral. This ain't a political show. This is about, the gender wars and how it's like set up. Like at the end of the day, the reason why they want to create this divide is because they want more workers. If you got mama and daddy on separate aisles, the women on this side, the men on this side, you got more workers. Back in the day, it was the home, it was the man that worked. The women, they didn't have the right to vote and all that stuff. The man did everything. The woman held it down in the household. But then it was like, you know what? If we create a divide, they looked at it from a business perspective. Like I said, they've been playing chess while we've been playing checkers. And it's just this whole, like, I'm gonna start with that terminology, toxic masculinity. Like, why is masculinity toxic? Femininity is not toxic. It's toxic people, period. It has nothing to do with you being masculine or feminine. But they want to attack masculinity because, there's an order to this. Like I mentioned in the previous episode where I talked about relationship rules. I said there's an order to this. Anything that God is for, they got to do the opposite. So if man's at the top, they got to flip it and put the woman at the top. That's that spirit of, and trust me, I ain't preaching at all this episode. I'm just going in. Straight freestyling. But I'm just going to say that's that spirit of Lilith, that spirit of Jezebel, that they talk about in the scriptures. But I see their little game and their little traps. Like I said, like all this crap started. This is why I don't rock with dude. All this crap started with Barack Obama. And my people sit there and they put this dude on a freaking pedestal for what? He didn't do nothing but create chaos in our community. Dude is so freaking feminine. I'm not going to talk about like the little subliminal stuff that happened behind the scenes with him. You do your research. There was one group of people that benefited when he was in office, and it wasn't us. And that's for a particular reason. You watch that podcast with him and Michelle, there is nothing given away to them two live in the same household. Nothing. I was watching, shout out to PBD, the PBD podcast. I was watching it earlier. A couple of ones, like I said, the Angry Man, Anton Daniels. But they all said the same thing. Like, there's no semblance that those two live in the same household. What he was doing is Barack Obama was doing damage control. He was doing damage control for the last election when he came out and he tried to lambaste men, black men in particular. And he wanted to sit there and lambaste us, and we're misogynists and this stuff because we didn't want to vote for this unqualified chick. This is why I use the scriptures as a reference about, the woman's not supposed to usurp authority over the man. But these Bamas is hell-bent on putting a woman at that top position, not knowing that she will be the most biggest puppet ever, not knowing the rest of these dudes, they're puppets as well. But she will be the biggest puppet ever. I mean, you want to talk about unqualified. So they're having a little temper tantrum. And right now, they're doing damage control. And the reason why I talk about, like I said, with the gender wars and stuff like that, they created the divide between, men and women. And I listen to, like I said, I pay attention to a lot of stuff. And a lot of ladies, they talk about, men aren't men anymore. Men aren't approaching women. And, men aren't doing this. They're not handy. They don't know how to fix stuff around the house. They're not cutting the grass, doing manly stuff. I never hear about, women aren't doing womanly stuff. You can't have it both ways. You can't have a man, you want the man to be traditional, but as a woman, you want to do whatever the heck you want to do. It don't work that way. You can't, like I said, you can't have your cake and eat it too. They created this environment where, you want, if you want that traditional values, that means women, guess what? You stay home. You take care of the household, you take care of the children. If you want this new age stuff, then yeah, you can thank Me Too for that crap. You can thank Barack Obama and his whack administration and the Democrats as a whole for that crap. It's the reason why Donald Trump won that last election. Like I said, the silent majority have spoken. That came straight up. It's just all the dudes who kept their mouth shut and just put up with this crap for years and years and years. Say, you know what? Bump this mess, man. I'm about to make my voice be heard. And unfortunately, that's what you got to do sometimes. Doesn't mean that the Republicans are perfect or not. I talk about the discrepancies to them before. I'm going to do another show about politics and future. I'll speak on, I'm neutral on this. But I can also explain why the Democrats lost and why the Republicans won. Because there's a lack of masculinity in this freaking country. That's why I put this show, I had a little Star Wars spin. You remember Star Wars? You had Star Wars, and then you had The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. That's why I put, Return of the Masc, Return of the Masculinity. Return of manhood as a whole. Because it's lacking. And the thing is, if you talk to a lot of women don't agree with that crap either. A lot of women's like, they didn't sign up for this. This is a bunch of a small sect of bitter feminists who hate men, and they want to create this environment, on some get back stuff. Like I said before, a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, that group, you feel me? They're not mad at men. Guess who y'all mad at? Y'all mad at God. Because God got ordered this and God made man first. God made man first. He made us first for a reason. Like I said, somebody breaking your house, you in a relationship, you got your boyfriend, got your man in there, 3 a.m, somebody kick down the door. Y'all gonna play rock, scissors, paper and see who answer that door? Nah, you expect that man to go down there and protect you. Because, like I said, there's an order to, there's certain things that fall into place. And like I said, as men, we're the first line of defense. Trust me, I'm not giving these dudes a pass. This whole era is fugazi. These Bamas is soft as skinless grapes. So I'm not going to sit there and attack the ladies and act like the men is just, oh, no. I said, I'm going in on this episode. It's Friday, y'all. I'm going all in. That's why I got the final boss. Do you smell what the mark is cooking? Because like I said, I'm going in. This era is soft. Most of these dudes are soft. That's why some of the time I can't blame some of these ladies. They look at these dudes like, you want me to follow him? Like, these dudes is whack. They're weak and they're feminine. Because they think that's cool. Because like I said before, and it's not to single them out because it's an agenda. I believe, I'm going to keep it real. I believe each president is a certain agenda behind the scenes that they have to push. But like I said before, this mess started with Barack Obama. It started with him and his agenda. Y'all can get mad at Trump all you want. Barack Obama is the reason why you got Donald Trump in there. Joe Biden is the reason why you got Donald Trump back in there again. So y'all want to sit there, y'all want to be, oh, this and that. Yeah, that's why them Bamas lost. For every cause, there's an effect. So I want to push this feminine, weak rainbow coalition agenda and think people are just going to be passive and no one's going to say anything. How my man saying coming to America, the father, McDowell's, this is America, Jack. My ancestors died for the reason for me to speak up. I'm not going to sit here and turn a blind eye to this. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to let my voice known. At the end of the day, I know I tried. I made an effort. When I'm old, I can look at my children with pride. Look, I did my part. You know, that's why I said I can't sit there and just completely attack the ladies. Because like I said, a lot of these dudes are soft. They so busy looking at these women's assets. That's why they walk behind. Y'all ain't leading nothing, man. And you wonder why a lot of these women don't respect us. With that said, I'm going to go with my people. Black women, first and foremost, y'all vote Democrat at a 95% clip. And look where it got you. Bama still lost. That's why they sitting there, they catering to the Latinos. They showed you loud and clear, your vote means nothing. So keep blindly voting and supporting that crap. Go against your husband. You replaced your husband with these whack politicians. God didn't design y'all to be happy with that. God designed y'all one way. The best feeling in the world is when you become a mother. You know, when you become a wife. Y'all know that deep down. Y'all not going to admit that. Some of the real women will. Just like as men, what makes us deep down, what makes us happy is being providers. Look around knowing I'm able to take care of mine. I'm able to take care of my family. But like I said, they want to put us on this equal plane. Don't get it twisted. In the eyes of God, we are both equal value. Men and women are equal value. But there's an order to this. They want to act like you could just flip-flop and do that. Nah, you can't. There's a reason why God designed things the way they do, but their God is something else. They don't worship who I worship. That's why I said, man, I started back with that whack podcast with Barack and Michelle. That Bama doing damage control. I can't stand that, man. I can't. And I can say that because I voted for that dude. A disgrace. Don't get it twisted. You know, I got a job to do. He's president. I'm still going to, you know, honor him and protect him. But then I'm like, yo, I'm not going to respect you. Because you're a liar. You're a used car salesman, dude. Straight up. Doesn't mean the orange man is perfect. He's not. But that's the reason why you got the orange man in there. Because of him. So y'all want to sit there and put this dude, y'all want to act like this dude is Jesus Christ? He ain't. The reason why I'm bringing it up in particular, because this is all that mess started with that. I'll flip it. I'll go back. The reason why George Bush Jr., I mentioned it in the past before on my show about politics. The reason why he won that election in 2004 is because he took a stand as far as when he was talking about gay marriage. He said marriage is between a man and a woman. And that resonated with the American public. You fast forward, 2008 get here. Got your guy in office. And the stuff that he's pushing. And my community in particular bit that crap hook, line, and sinker. He created more of a divide in this country than anybody else. Now all of a sudden you want to be political. Why? Because he's black? I guess I'm going to keep it real. Some of the most racist people out here are black folk. Some of the most racist, y'all want to act like white folk are right now. White folk got sick and tired of y'all demonizing them. That little racial guilt trip that black folk been using for the past, 30, 40 years? Yeah, that gas tank for white folk is on E right now. They sick and tired of that crap. They had nothing to do with the past stuff. Treat individuals as individuals and stop giving people a pass because they look like you. Sick of that mess, man. Sick of it. That's why I said I'm going in, man. I'm straight up going in. Not pulling the Bible out, not doing it. I'm just going straight up in on these bastards. And I call them bastards. That's what they call them in the Bible. Because they're God's children. They say if you're not a child of God, guess what? You have a father, you're a bastard. That's what they are. Because they don't serve God. The God they serve is freaking money. On one side, and the other one they serve is just they corrupt, reprobate minds. And they've created this divide with men and women because it's all about taxes. We can tax. If we got more workers, we can tax more people. It's all about greed, destroying the family structure. Because we have to destroy the traditional family structure so we can build up this artificial family structure. You know, for the couples who, you know what? Do I want to go into detail with this? I'm literally thinking out loud right now. I almost want to. I really do, because it seems to me that, you know, I'm looking at as the decline with men and women. I see more of an increase in, you know, when the Rainbow Coalition couples get together. But what's funny is the irony is they don't stay together either. The highest divorce rate is with women and women. That's the highest. They don't want to talk about that though. The highest divorce rate of couples, look it up, do research. The highest divorce rate is with women and women. Like I said, they don't want to talk about that. Like I said, it's a clear agenda. It goes back to, I've said it many times. Like, it was a place I worked at back in the day. And I used to tell people, I said, yo, these people that's at the top of this world, you think they go to work and they clock in like we do? No, they don't. They spend their time, how they gain their wealth and how they've done these things. They've done certain things behind the scenes, and who they serve ain't who we serve. You either stand for something or you fall for anything. Like I mentioned on the Thug Life episode, a coward dies 1,000 deaths, a soldier dies but once. A lot of these dudes out here are freaking cowards, man. They don't want to speak up. They don't want to say what's really going on because y'all scared about, you know, paying your bills and stuff like that. If you know God's in control, then you know God's going to work these things out for you. You know? But, you know, y'all put man on the pedestal, you know? And, you know, as far as, I'm going to get back, I ain't leaving the ladies off the hook, man. Like I said before, a lot of these women act like they mad at men. They mad at God. A lot of them, they brag about these degrees. These degrees are meaningless pieces of paper. At the end of the life, God's not impressed with them degrees. Guess what? Man ain't impressed with them either. Bunch of DEI highs, man. Yeah, I said it. A bunch of DEI highs. Because really, make you qualify for the job is experience, not about a piece of paper. Jobs look at how much work experience you got. That's why people do internships and things like that. Not saying it's not some that ain't qualified, but I'm sick and tired of these ladies acting like, you know, because I got this degree and I got this, it makes you superior. It doesn't. God didn't design you to have satisfaction with that. All that stuff is masculine. Y'all sitting there, y'all impressing others, because y'all definitely ain't, y'all impressing other women, because y'all not impressing the men. I said it before, newsflash, men, we don't care about your stupid degrees. That mess don't mean nothing to us. We don't care about that. We care about how you treat us, how you look, your appearance, your etiquette. That's what we care about. All that other stuff is irrelevant. If you're a real man, maybe if you get with a little beta male or something like that, then, you know, maybe they'll care about that. Because they don't want to go out there and be the breadwinner. They don't want to go out there and take care of their own. But yeah, pardon me, you know, yeah, as I cleared my throat and you know, reintroduce myself, you know. Yeah, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I said it on the first episode. Say hi to the bad guy. I'm not biting my tongue. I'm not going to do it. Because I see the game they playing. It's like a little chess game, you know. It really is. Y'all sit there, y'all put Barack and Michelle Obama on this little pedestal. They're not even together. You can watch that episode and you can read people's energy. They ain't in the same house. They don't live together. They putting up a front. Like I said, Barack's doing damage control. And with Michelle, it's like, it's just, like I said, as a man, it's ironic. It's like, dang, yo. You could be the highest office in the land as a black man and still can't get respect from your own women. Not to make excuses, I'm just saying. Bill Clinton, you know what he did in the White House. He embarrassed Hillary. Hillary still showed up. Hillary still by his side. You still got that man last name. But you want to sit there and ridicule him. These dudes are soft, G. They straight up soft. Soft as freaking skinless grapes. I've said it many times. And these are y'all heroes. These are the guys y'all worship. These are the ones y'all put on the pedestal. Like I said, I'm bringing them up in particular because that's where the divide came. Because a lot of women, for some reason, they put this dude up here as like the measuring stick. He ain't the measuring stick. That dude is soft. He has a lot of femininity. This dude's crossing his legs like a freaking woman. He pushes the Rainbow Coalition. Ain't nothing masculine about him. Nothing. But they continue to put this guy, like I said, that's the reason why Donald Trump won twice. You say what you want about him, guess what? There's masculine energy on that side. And that resonates with men. Not this soft, penny-ante garbage. This passive crap. Because like I said, the real women out there don't like it either. They mad because men ain't approaching them no more. I done seen the joints. They sit there waiting like, I gotta approach men. I gotta shoot my shot and do this. I'm sorry, ladies. Unfortunately, one thing I will say, the difference between men and women. Men, for the most part, if dudes is acting up on our side, we'll call them out. We will air them out. I'm doing it right now. Women, the women that's acting up and making y'all look bad, y'all don't call them out. Y'all give them a pass. Y'all put the wrong women on a pedestal. And all it's doing is hurting y'all. That's why the women behind the scenes that don't like this, they not happy right now. They looking like, why men not approaching us anymore? Why I gotta pay 50-50? Hey, look, the ones in the forefront that's running their mouths as loudest, that's what they want. Remember? Equal rights, equality. Remember that? No, man ain't this, down with the matriarchy. Down with the patriarchy. Now I bring up the matriarchy because I said my people in particular, black folk, we've been in a freaking matriarchy for the past, 50, 60 years? So that's why I laugh when they say down with the patriarchy. Black folk ain't had a patriarchy since like the 50s. Or shall I say the early, mid-60s. This crap started in the 70s, man. When the feminist movement hijacked the black civil rights movement. And it was some bitter, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to cause any racial divides, but I'm gonna call a spade a spade. It started with a lot of bitter white women, and they hijacked the black civil rights movement, and they took the black women and put them on the feminist tip to make them go against their man. Not knowing as men, we never held y'all back. We never told y'all couldn't do this and that. That was the upper side that did that. Keep it 1,000, bump 100. I'm keeping it 1,000. And people don't want to talk about these things. They want to sit there and tap dance around it. Like I said, that's when it started. I like to watch a lot of old, sitcoms and old movies and stuff like that, like 70s and 60s. It's kind of relaxing, but I noticed that's why I say this started in the 70s. You could look at the sitcoms and certain shows like that. I'm not even going to bring up the show's name, but you look at them and see they were pushing a lot of single women and doing stuff on their own. They were pushing that. They started making men, a joke. Not knowing that the infrastructure of this planet was built by men. Who paid the streets? Men did that. Of course, you got a couple of women that do stuff here and there, yes, with the men. The electrical wires, the power poles. When the power goes out, 9 times out of 10, who's going out there? 2 in the morning, your power out, it's a storm. It's usually a man out there doing that. The people that pick up your garbage every day, it's summertime right now. 100 degrees, that mess is funky. You gonna see some women do that? Nah, it's men doing that. And it's funny, they put these dudes on pedestals that work in the office and stuff like that. These bammers are professional chair sitters. Professional chairs. Ain't nothing masculine about that crap. We need to bring masculinity back, man. That's why I respect the dudes out there in the heat, just getting it out the mud. That takes a real man to do that. Anybody can sit there and put on a freaking suit and sit in a cool environment behind a desk for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. Like I said, these are y'all heroes. These are y'all heroes. Yeah, you wonder why I'm a little ant? Because like I said, it shouldn't be like this. This gender war crap, where they try to have this divide between the men and the women. I know where it came from. I said that the feminist movement hijacked the black civil rights movement because we was kicking up dust and we was getting some results. And it was becoming a threat. And they were playing chess while we were still playing checkers. And unfortunately, some of our women fell for that garbage. Not knowing God didn't design them to be happy with that. God wired us differently as men and women. Women are supposed to be nurturers. Supposed to be. Men are supposed to be providers and protectors. Supposed to be. But you see what's going on. And the reason why I can say this stuff, because I'm a single father and I got a young son and I got to raise him in this demonic environment. And it's a disgrace what they're doing with these young boys in this era. That's what they was talking about on this stupid podcast with Michelle and her her feminine brother and Barack. And they was talking about boys and how, they're being influenced by the manosphere. That's the terminology they use for the internet and men talking and stuff like that. They call it the manosphere. The thing is, like I said before, men usually didn't express ourselves. But it got to a point where it's like, you know what? It's good to let these things out and communicate because maybe we can help others. Because like I said, it wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to be like this. They playing games with us as a people. I just pray that people open their eyes up, both the men, and the women. Divorces are at an all-time high. Relationships, at an all-time low. Nothing lasts. Not in this culture. They last in other cultures around the world. Other cultures around the world, they last. Not in this culture. This American culture. Everything is business. Everything's a business agreement. It's disgusting. It's freaking disgusting. It's all greed at the end of the day. Greed and selfishness. But, like I said, it starts and it ends with the men. At the same time, these women got to be accountable as well. And God willing, these things straighten themselves out. I see it kind of, but like I said before, I see the games that the other side's trying to play right now. They're trying to use some little chess game tactics, and I see right through that crap. I really do. Like that mess, everybody else can fall for that mess. I'm not going to fall for it. Not at all. I see through what's going on. Like I said, they are hell-bent on having, a woman up top. And dudes just sit back and listen. Not supposed to be like that. Not supposed to be like that. There's much more I can say. But at this point, I feel like I've said enough for now. I'm going to save some little stuff, snippets for later here and there. But I just want people to see what's really going on and why they're causing this divide between men and women. Like I said, hey, ladies, y'all can blame me too for that crap. And the dudes, I said before, we paying for the sins of our fathers. Period. The baby boomers, shout out to the angry man, because he said it first. I'm just gonna repeat what he said. You know what, I believe Anton Daniel said it too. I'm not gonna say it's a collective, but as a majority, the baby boomers, they were a bunch of simps. You know that terminology? Happy wife, happy life. And that's why men die first. You sit there and just keep all this stuff in. Let these women do whatever the heck they want, as long as she's happy. Forget your happiness, don't mean nothing. As long as she's happy, right? Nah, bump that. Happy spouse, happy house. Period. You know, so like I said, these women have to go back. They want traditional men. These women need to go back to being traditional women. Stop demonizing actually cooking around the house and cleaning. I said the mother's usually responsible for the health of the family. That's where the cooking comes in. The little nuances of things that are important, like cleaning. But, you know, y'all be pushing this equality tip. So remember, equal rights, equal lefts. So, and it's funny too, because if something go down, these chicks is quick to call the police, and they praying it's a bunch of big brolic men, not knowing you could have had that with your husband, you could have had that with your man. But you know, you want to love everything else but a man. Catering to a man, y'all demonize that. And we can't do that. We're gonna do girls trips. We're gonna big up the women. We're gonna cheerlead the women. It wasn't meant for God. Didn't put y'all down here for that. Y'all was supposed to support us, help us. And when I say support us, I mean from an emotional standpoint. Men, we're supposed to support women from a physical standpoint. Being providers, being protectors. Women are supposed to support us from a spiritual standpoint, being the nurturers, bringing that love and energy. But nah, we can love other women. They can love they can love women. They can love the children, but we can't love a man. Nah. Unless it's what? Barack Obama? Really? Man, you know what? Like I said, I could go in, but you know what? I said enough for now, man. I'm out.